So I decided to be looked into becoming an osteopath. A lot of it was from reconstructive surgery that I had when I was younger. So I had a lot of hands-on therapy, osteopathic, chiropractic, physiotherapy. And for me, osteopathy sits sort of quite well between all three sort of forms of manual therapy. I like the feeling of seeing results and seeing people come back in saying that, you know, you've made me better, which is the best bit about the job. I think the toolkit that you get from the ESO enables you to sort of pick your own path rather than being heavily dominant in maybe structural osteopathy or cranial, and sort of leads you down a route of wherever you want to take it, really. So it can't be underestimated at the ESO how it is a demanding course. It does require a lot of time and effort, and I think for anyone that thinks it's going in perhaps half-hearted, it does require a lot of your time. You need to put in a lot of effort around it, but there's a great sort of framework and support network there. The tutors very much see you as colleagues already. It's not a case of there's sort of you and us. So I think that sort of bond I've found between not only sort of colleagues within the classes, but also the tutors. You never felt like you're sort of second best. So you're treated as an osteopath from the day that you start the course, I think. The ESO for me, it covers such a spectrum of medicine, and I think a lot of it, is information we won't need that often, but it's vital that we know it, as well as all obviously the osteopathic techniques that come with it. So since 2017, I stopped for a week, had a week off. The guys here called me and asked if I'd like to work for them, and I took up that offer, and I've been working here since. I worked in a practice in Hastings on the south coast initially, now sort of solely work here and see in part sort of a few private patients myself outside of clinic life. So just focused on building a solid foundation for my career in terms of patient numbers and the patient list and the practice here. I think the ESO sets you up for being able to manage being in amongst other forms, other disciplines. I think whilst you're at the ESO, obviously it's osteopathy dominant, but it's also a case of recognising, and for me, recognising when my job ends, it's being integrated in that team environment and knowing when someone else might be more applicable for someone to then go on and see. I think long-term wise, I personally am very invested in the practice here, and I've seen how much I've grown. I'd be silly to look to put that to one side. I'd like to continue growing my own sort of private patient list, and that's something I've thought about. I'd love to come back and do some sort of form of tutoring at the ESO in the clinic environment. I feel I can sort of deliver sort of well in terms of being able to show sort of various techniques and management of patients, and that's something I'd be quite keen to have a bit of hands-off time as well, because I think that's very important within being an osteopath, is to not jump in too much too soon, because you go from seeing a number of patients in the clinic environment to then seeing a lot of patients, and it's making that gradual step up to making sure you're not overworking initially and getting the hands used to what they're going to be doing for the rest of your life. 3 words for the ESO for me would be dedication. I think you've got to show a certain level of commitment to the course and what it involves, from day one, really. I think the breadth that the course offers, you get to see lots of different osteopaths that they can tell you a lot from their experience and number of years within their sort of careers. Value for money, I think, alongside that, because the course offers so much, you get such a great toolkit going forwards. You can really pick and choose at what you think you can take into private practice, and also things that you may sort of leave to one side and pick back up later in your career. I think for me, being an osteopath, I think it's great that it's something that perhaps isn't that well known about. It's, for me, the best thing about the job is someone that walks in the door that is sceptical and thinking, osteopathy is a little bit more out there as a profession. And when you treat somebody and they see the benefits of what osteopathic treatment can do, and you switch that patient sort of mindset around, they're often the ones that I find are most rewarding, because the patients have experienced a lot of osteopathic care in the past. They know what they're coming in for, but that, to me, and getting that one patient is then sort of broadening us as osteopaths as sort of patients that are coming in. So I think that's what's most important to me, and being able to get people to function better when they thought that maybe osteopathy might not sort of do anything for them. So